Elias had always believed that greatness came from enormous effort. He admired people who became successful overnight, unaware that many of them had worked quietly for years. He lived in a small town that sat between two rivers, a quiet place where nothing ever seemed to change. But deep inside him, something was changing. He felt stuck, defeated, and almost invisible to himself. He wanted to be a speaker, a writer, a trainer. Sometimes he wanted to be everything at once. But every time he started something, he gave up before results appeared. He would begin writing a book, feel tired, stop for weeks, then start again with a new idea. He would train at the gym for 3 or 4 days, hoping for immediate transformation, then lose motivation because his body still looked the same. He hated that pattern, yet he repeated it over and over. One evening, after another day of feeling disappointed in himself, Elias walked to the old stone bridge that crossed the river. He sat there with his legs hanging off the edge, watching the slow movement of the water. He whispered, "Why can't I stay consistent?" And then he cried, not because he was weak, but because he finally admitted the truth he had been running from. When he raised his head, he saw an old man standing a short distance away, leaning on a wooden cane. His eyes were sharp but kind. "You are losing the battle in your mind, not in your actions," the old man said. Elias blinked in surprise. The man walked closer and sat beside him. "Psychologists say the brain doesn't trust big changes," the man continued. "It fears them. That is why your intentions collapse. You expect transformation overnight, but the brain only accepts progress built slowly." Elias wiped his eyes. "So, what do I do?" The old man smiled gently. "Come back tomorrow morning. I will teach you something that will change your life, if you can show up." Elias did not know it then, but that moment at the bridge was the beginning of the longest, most important lesson he would ever learn. Consistency is not a talent, it is a muscle that must be built one small step at a time. The next morning, Elias returned to the bridge, expecting motivation or complicated instructions. Instead, the old man handed him a small notebook and said only 5 words. "Do one thing every day." Nothing more. No long speech, no dramatic explanation, just a challenge so simple it almost felt insulting. Seeing Elias's confusion, the man finally explained, "Your brain loves patterns. It builds them quietly. When you repeat one small action every single day, your brain starts forming a neural pathway. After a few days, that pathway becomes stronger. After a few weeks, it becomes easier to follow. That is how habits grow." It was the first time Elias had heard about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. The old man continued, "Consistency is not about doing a lot. It is about showing your brain the same signal every day until the signal becomes your nature." Elias chose writing as his daily task. The rule was simple. Write for 20 minutes, not 2 hours, not until exhaustion, just 20 minutes. At first, the habit felt fragile. His mind tried to distract him. His phone kept calling him. His excuses felt stronger than his discipline. But something curious happened around the 7th day. He began to desire the routine. Psychologists call this the habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. His cue was opening the notebook. The routine was writing, and the reward was the small sense of pride afterward. By day 12, he realized his handwriting had improved and ideas flowed faster. By day 15, he noticed that his self-confidence, something he believed was broken, had begun to rebuild itself. And by day 20, something even more powerful happened. He didn't feel normal unless he wrote. The old man explained, "This is the science of momentum. Humans think motivation creates action, but the truth is, action creates motivation. Every day you write, you increase your brain's desire to do it again." Elias finally understood what had always blocked him. He expected results before showing consistency,
But in psychology, consistency always comes before results. It was during these quiet 20-minute sessions that he discovered his deeper passion, not just writing, but telling stories that healed people. Yet the old man wasn't done teaching. At the beginning, he said, your effort is planting seeds. You won't see anything. But a seed doesn't fail just because it is hidden. It only fails when you stop watering it. With time, Elias increased his 20 minutes to 30, then to 40. Not because he forced himself, but because consistency had created identity. He no longer wanted to write. He believed he was a writer. And identity is the strongest psychological force in human behavior. As weeks became months, Elias started noticing changes beyond writing. His discipline spilled into every area of his life. He began exercising again, not for extreme transformation, but for steady improvement. He cooked healthier meals because they helped his energy stay stable for writing. He read more because it sharpened his creativity. The old man smiled at these changes and said, "This is called the consistency cascade. Progress in one area spills naturally into others because the brain loves alignment." People in town noticed. Elias looked stronger, calmer, more confident. He spoke with purpose. Some friends asked what he was doing, expecting a secret formula or special training. When he told them the truth, that he simply did one thing every day, they often laughed or dismissed it. Many believed success required massive effort, not patient repetition. But Elias no longer cared about opinions. He had learned the psychology of progress. One evening, after nearly 6 months, the old man asked Elias to walk with him to the highest hill in town. The climb was long, but Elias felt no exhaustion. He felt powerful. When they reached the top, the old man said, "Look at the town below you." Elias saw lights glowing in different houses, each representing people with dreams, fears, and silent battles. The old man continued, "Most humans quit not because they cannot succeed, but because they stop before the brain rewires. They stop before the roots grow strong. They stop because results are invisible at first. That is why consistency beats talent. That is why small habits build empires. And that is why you, Elias, have climbed a hill many never climb, not with your feet, but with your mind." For the first time, Elias realized he had not simply learned discipline. He had learned how humans truly change, slowly, quietly, and repeatedly. And he felt something he had never felt before, unshakable belief in his future.
2 years later, Elias stood on a large stage in the city, speaking to hundreds of people who came to hear his story. His first book had sold thousands of copies. His daily writing habit had turned into full manuscripts, scripts, speeches, and journals. He had become a respected storyteller, the kind that touched hearts and changed lives. Looking at the audience, he said, "Success did not come from big moments. It came from boring moments, small moments, repeated moments." The room fell silent. People listened as he spoke about the psychology of consistency, how the brain forms habits through repetition, how identity grows from actions, how small daily progress triggers massive long-term transformation. He told them about the old man, the notebook, the 20-minute rule, and the science behind sticking to a behavior long enough for the brain to adopt it. "Consistency is the only path that never lies," Elias said, "because even when results do not show yet, progress is happening inside you." The audience felt his words deeply, because each person there had once started something and given up too soon. As Elias walked off the stage, he saw the old man standing at the back, smiling proudly. Elias approached him and whispered, "Your lesson saved me." But the old man shook his head. "No," he replied, "you saved yourself. I only reminded you of a truth your brain already knew, that small steps repeated daily create unstoppable strength." And as Elias stepped outside into the cool night air, he realized the full power of consistency. Dreams are not fulfilled by sparks of motivation. They are built by quiet repetition, by deliberate practice, by showing up on days when the mind is tired, by trusting the process even when there is no visible reward, by choosing discipline when excuses feel louder, and by believing that the brain is always changing, always adapting, always ready to grow if we feed it one small action every single day. Elias looked up at the sky and whispered, "Consistency didn't just change my habits, it changed me." And with that, he walked forward, not into a perfect future, but into a future he had earned, one small step at a time.